What's up, guys? Just want to do a quick walk around on my 1996 Jeep Grand Cherokee. So it's the ZJ and it's got the 5.2 liter V8 in it. And I did some other videos on this Jeep and I've been getting a lot of views, way more than I ever expected, a lot of feedback and a lot of questions. So I just want to kind of do a video real quick that covers everything, hopefully to answer all your guys' questions, because I know a lot of you have subscribed because of the Jeep. So again, it's a 96 ZJ 5.2 liter V8. It's sitting on a 4.5 inch suspension lift by Rubicon Express. It's an adjustable short arm lift, and basically what I mean by short arms is the lower control arms that go from the frame of the Jeep to the axles. They're short arms, so a long arm suspension kit won't use this stock bracket. It would actually slide it up here and have something that bolts on. So it's a short arm using the stock brackets, but they are adjustable, you can see right here. And what that allows you to do is, in my other videos, or actually I'll see if I can cut some footage out or post a picture into this video, you want to have adjustable control arms even if you're on short arms, because you can kind of tell right now without it even being flexed out, the tire sits closer, the whole axle sits closer to the front of the wheel well. And what you want to be able to do is when this thing's really flexed out, you want to be able to adjust how close it gets to here, but also where the tire ends up sitting, you know, when it's bottomed out, tucked up in this fender. You don't want it back too far or forward too much because you're going to be rubbing real bad. And that's another question I got, so I'll go through that real quick. People always say, you know, wow, you got 35 by 1250s on a 4.5 inch lift. How'd you do it? Well, I had to trim the bumper a little bit. This is real minor, but basically what would happen is when I really flexed out and tucked this tire up into the fender, it would hit the bumper, which used to, you know, come down like this. So I trimmed a couple inches off because what would happen is when it hit the bumper, it would actually pop the whole bumper off. There's just a clip back here and the pressure would pop it off. It was just annoying more than anything. Didn't really hurt much. And then, you know, did a little banging up here on the sheet metal. And you can tell it rubs in here. That's okay though. And what you want to do for that, I'll show you these wheel spacers. Excuse me. But basically, you got to space your wheels right, because when you really flex out and you bottom out, and tuck a tire up in your wheel well like this, you want to make sure you're not rubbing so hard that you're actually damaging your tire. And you also want to make sure that you're clearing the fender. You know, you don't want to have the tire or the rim spaced out too much to where you're clearing that completely, but you're mashing into this. And so you can see up here I did a little banging too, just with a hammer, and right here it gets a little nasty. You can see that the tire, when it tucks up and I'm moving forward, the tire actually pulls this metal down. So I could easily trim that off, but it's not damaging my tires at all. It's not cutting them or anything. So you could trim that off. Really what you got to do is just get your Jeep flexed out, go to a supermarket loading dock, or, you know, go to a dirt pile, a rock or something, get flexed out with your big old tires, and, you know, figure out how you need to adjust your control arms and figure out what you need to trim and what you need to bang. That's, you know, what I did here. And basically, you know, just trial and error, you can get it dialed in to where you're not having to trim too much or bang too much with the hammer, but you're able to clear the tires without damaging them. Because if it's metal versus rubber, metal wins every time, and you do not want to slice these big old tires up. And I'm on the stock rims. Those are the stock ZJ rims, so I guess 96 to 98 Grand Cherokees. And they're 15 by 7, so they're not very wide. You get a nice bubbly sidewall on them. Give you a shot of that. And they ride nice, everything like that. But with the back spacing, like I'm talking about, to get the alignment right to where you're not jamming the tire against the wheel well, I've got these aluminum spacers you can see in there. Hopefully you can see that. And it's between, you know, the brake, the rotor there, and then the back of the wheel. And I would say it's 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Again, just flex your Jeep out, do some measurements, you know, get it dialed in for yours. But I think it's 1 inch or 1.5 inches, and you can get those on eBay. And basically, they have holes in them that bolt on, so you take your wheel off, you bolt the spacer on, and then the spacer's got its own studs that you bolt the wheel on. And I haven't had any problems with balancing or anything like that, so you just get those to get the proper fitment. And then you'll see here I've got these limiting straps. And basically what I did was I bolted them to the shock mount, and then ran them up to the stock bump stop mount. And there's a shot for you guys if you're wondering what kind they are. Great straps, and I got the double thick ones, really strong, they won't stretch out. So that's the stock bump stop mount right there. And basically I just went ahead and mounted to that because this essentially works as my bump stop now. And before I had these, this thing will flex out so much, and again I'll try to put a photo or some video footage from another video, but it would flex out so much it would actually just break the shock off right below that mount. It would just break this whole rod. Because the shock was the only thing limiting the axle from going down away from the Jeep more when it was really flexed out. So now these, I measured it again, just flexed it out at like a grocery store, and measured for a strap from the shock bolt all the way up to the stock bump stop bolt, pulled the bump stops off, put these on, and now when I flex out, instead of having things happen like the shock break and then the whole coil spring roll down the hill, that's in one of my other videos, these catch it now, no problem. They catch it, and the coil is up there on the seat just fine, you know, nowhere near falling out. Probably have to go down another inch or two before it could fall out. And so it just keeps the suspension from stressing itself out. Really good investment. You don't want to be breaking shocks all the time. And then here I've got a Rusty's adjustable rear track bar. I'm not running a rear sway bar. There wasn't one on it when I bought the Jeep. I might need to look into that. But you know, some people have been bashing Rusty's. I'm sorry, it works good. It's not super expensive. It works fine for what I'm doing, and it gives me the adjustability I needed to center the axle under my truck, because that'll cause you clearance problems too. If you know your axle's sitting to one side or the other, you're going to have one tire rubbing on the inside wheel well and the other one rubbing on the outer fender. So you got to have adjustability once you start lifting it, so you can keep your axle center under the Jeep. So you know, don't bash Rusty's unless you've actually had it and have had a problem with it. Then I'll listen to you. But if you're just some dude that's saying, you know, Rusty sucks just to say it, and you don't even own a Jeep, or you don't have a Jeep that had Rusty stuff on it, or didn't have Rusty stuff break on you, you know, don't bash the stuff, because not all of us are super extreme, have to have the best, most expensive custom shit. So it's been working out pretty good. I think I told you the rest of the lift kit is Rubicon Express Superflex 4.5 inch. So the springs, the control arms, the shocks in the front, not the back because I busted those. But that's all Rubicon Express. Another question I get a lot is about the transfer case. And I'm not, you know, an expert on this stuff. I'm new to Jeeps. I'm actually, when it comes to trucks and four-wheel drives, I'm a Chevy guy. But a lot of people ask, did you change your drive lines? As far as I know, these are stock. So you guys that are experts, take a look at this and let the other guys know in the comments if this is not stock. I believe it's the 249 because it's all-time all-wheel drive, and then it has a 4-low setting. And I don't believe the front one has been modified either. I don't know. Let me know, because I'm curious too. But I believe that's stock. And I'll give you a shot of the front too. I believe that's all stock. Okay, so let me know. But no vibrations with the lift kit. No problems at all. Every once in a great while, she'll pop out a 4-low when I'm trying to climb something real steep or on some rocks. But everybody's been telling me that's just my linkage needs to be adjusted. So look into that, and hopefully that's all it is. And there you see the lower control arms in the front. Again, the Rubicon Express. And they are not adjustable in the front, but I haven't run into problems with that. And I still have the Rubicon Express shocks in the front. Haven't busted those yet. And those are the Rubicon Express coil springs also. And I do have, let's see if I can get a shot of it, quick disconnects on the front sway bar. I don't take them off that much, to be honest, but it does make the front flex a whole hell of a lot more. So all in all, pretty happy with how it's sitting right now. My next upgrade, I was talking about doing more to this suspension kit, you know, and I've got the Rusty's tie rod, and I've got the Rusty's drag bar and adjustable track bar in the front too, with this heavy duty frame mount, and I've been happy with all that. But I was talking about, you know, doing more to the short arm lift, and honestly, after having a little more experience with this, it's not worth it. I'm just gonna go ahead and get an Iron Rock off-road long arm 7-inch kit and either keep it on 35s or put it on 37s, you know, and call it good. And you'll notice I don't have my steering stabilizer on the front anymore. I just have the one up in the stock location, because first time we took it out after that install, busted it on a rock, just busted it open, dripped all the fluid out, bent the bracket and everything else. I mean, if you're gonna run a steering stabilizer on the tie rod up here in the front, it needs to be above the tie rod, you know, up here, not hanging down here where it's the first thing to bash a rock. So took that off, looked like, you know, crap, and there was no fluid in it anyways, so didn't even feel like getting a new shock and putting it on there. Just went ahead and took it off. But other than that, I think that pretty much covers the suspension. And let me show you the trimming in the front, because a lot of you guys are worried about that. All I did was I took off this trim piece right here, and then you can see that I cut on this and banged on this a little, but pretty much only to right here. This is all just factory right here. So right here is where I stopped, and you can see in here just a little bit more, you know, nothing too crazy, a little banging on seams and stuff, and not getting too much rubbing up here, and little trim in there. Now one problem I do have, oh, and I trimmed the front bumper too, just like the back one. You can see I cut into that a little bit. But one problem I do have on this front driver's side, whatever this thing is, I don't know what it is. If you guys know, let me know. And I don't know how bad it is that I've like ripped this thing apart, but I mean, the Jeep runs fine, and I've been passing smog and stuff, but when I turn real sharp, or if I flex out too much, my tire makes contact with this. And I don't know what it is. I probably need to relocate it and get a new one. But that's it, you know, not too much trimming, not too much modification to run 35 by 1250s on a 4.5-inch lift. So, you know, you guys can do it. Hopefully this video helps you out, and I think that's about it. If you have more questions on the suspension and stuff, let me know, but I think that should about cover it. Other than that, I haven't done much to this Jeep. The rear end is posi traction, kind of rips up the tires on the road, but gives me the traction that I need off-road. Still need to get a locker on the front axle, but I haven't done much to this. I mean, it's got a K&N, you know, air filter and intake on it. Other than that, the motor's completely stock. I just try to maintain it, and, you know, put a nice new Duralast battery in it, and an aluminum radiator. I did do that, just to make sure I didn't have any cooling issues. And I went ahead and went with the electric fan conversion too, so you can see, hopefully you can see aluminum radiator and electric fans on a thermostat, and that's been working out really well. So nice Jeep, I love it. You know, being a Chevy guy, these things are awesome off-road. The flex is amazing even on a short arm, and they're just dependable, solid rigs. And I love the way they look, you know, and you get big tires under them even if they're not super high off the ground. So hopefully this answers your questions. Like I said, let me know if you have any others, and I can make another video or just respond back in the comments. Make sure you subscribe and like the video if you want to see more. Alright, have a good one, guys.